Presented by トレジャー。
Yo! Here we are, Treasure on the Game Gear and Game Boy Advance. I chose to go with the portable titles. Well, I had to talk about the Game Gear at some point. If this is your first Treasure episode you're seeing, I did Treasure on the Genesis and 5th generation consoles already. Out of these games, I've only played one before this episode. Please do consider liking and subscribing. I am trying to build this channel. Oh yeah, check me out on Twitter or X, whatever it is, at evo_genesis neo. Now, let's go! Dynamite Heady was first released in Japan on the Game Gear on August 5th, 1994. Next released in North America in September 1994, then in PAL territories in November 1994. Dynamite Heady on the Game Gear goes more of the Sonic and Castle of Illusion Sega handheld route. This version takes advantage of the handheld's strengths, or, weaknesses compared to the Genesis, making it a very different game. Sure, the two games share a lot of bosses and stage backgrounds, but stage layout is completely different. I gotta say, this is a pretty good platformer. Dynamite Heady starts with an intro, something that its Genesis counterpart lacks. Heady's head power-ups are mostly here. I only noticed the mini-head missing. I'm guessing the shrinking mechanic was too much for the Game Gear. If only Sega had discovered blast processing sooner, or put it in the Game Gear. This is basically a handheld master system. Dynamite Heady attacks with his head. He can get some power-ups like a metal head, a vacuum head, a pick head that shoots stars, a speed head, and a sleepy head. The sleepy one restores health. A few of the boss fights are completely different, obviously because of the limitations of the Game Gear. Treasure did throw in some fun replacements. This is a fun little game. Check it out if you're a fan of the original.
Oh my god!
This is delicious!
Gunstar Heroes was released on the Game Gear in Japan on March 24th, 1995. Surprisingly, Gunstar Heroes on the Game Gear is close to its Genesis big brother. The game features both Gunstar Blue and Red. Blue is fixed shot. He can fire only while standing still, but can fire in 8 directions. Red can run and gun, but can fire in 3 directions while standing still. Well, 4 if you count down. Red's the way to go. All 4 weapons and weapon combinations are present. Flame, laser, machine gun, and homing. These can all be combined to create new weapons, like a homing machine gun. You can also collect 2 of the same to power them up, like double homing. One big difference besides the 8-bit downgrade is that there's a stage missing. It's the board game level. A memorable stage, but not one I enjoy playing. Also, the train stage is much different. Instead of vehicles that can swap tracks, the Gunstars get a helicopter backpack. Since that stage is missing, one of the treasure gems the Empire is after is just sitting up there at the stage select. The boss fight against Green and his forms was a lot of fun. That was definitely the highlight of my time with the game. Okay, so for a Game Gear game, Gunstar Heroes is great. However, there isn't much reason to play this downgraded version of Gunstar Heroes today, unless you're some sort of die-hard Game Gear player. And there's nothing wrong with that, I just can't see recommending this to anyone else. The original Gunstar Heroes is available all over the place, so play that instead. Or maybe play the last game in this video. Tiny Toon Adventures Buster's Bad Dream was first released in PAL territories on July 5, 2002. This game's North American release was cancelled, however some copies got out. Tiny Toon Adventures Scarey Dreams is the one I'm playing. This is also the last Tiny Toon Adventures video game. In this game you play as Buster, and you can choose other characters from the show as support. Buster attacks with boxing gloves. He's got a combo and an uppercut. Buster can also launch enemies and perform an air combo. Enemies also knock into each other, a mechanic that'll be used in another game in this video. The thing about this game is it's really hard. I gave it some time and I can't beat the second stage. I've seen some people smash through this game, and I'm sure if they saw this they'd say I suck at the game. I do, and I don't really find the game interesting enough to get good at. I mean, it's a solid game, it's just not for me. But if you really want to try it, try it. Hajime no Ippo The Fighting was released on December 12, 2002. I'm playing a fan translation by Mark Liugi released on September 20th, 2008. Hajime no Ippo The Fighting is a very long-running manga series. It's been going since 1989 and has over 1,400 chapters at the time of recording. Yeah, it's still going. The series was written by George Morikawa. It also has a couple anime series and movies. I will admit I'm a fan, not a huge fan of Hajime no Ippo, so I was very intrigued by a treasure boxing game. The series follows Ippo's boxing career. It starts with him as an amateur boxer in high school to an adult professional boxer. Ippo battles a number of competitors over the course of the series. These make up the roster of playable fighters, even though you only play as a pair of boxing gloves. The game's got a few modes of play. There's a story mode, tournaments, sparring, and versus via link cable. The story and tournament is where I spend most of my time, and I'm guessing it's where you'll spend most of yours too. There's also a customize on the menu. This one allows you to use the points you earn from fights to upgrade character stats. The story mode doesn't have any story. You just fight a select group of fighters that Ippo battles in the series. A few of his early opponents aren't present. Fights get intense fast. Most of these fighters can punch you before you have a chance to throw one yourself. The combatants all have different combinations and punches and special moves. Dodging and blocking will be used a lot in fights. Blocking can eventually break your character's guard, and you just kind of get beat on after that. There's a lot of waiting and throwing counter punches. Special moves use spirit, and when I use them they seemed unblockable. After rounds you can use points for healing, spirit, and increasing the down meter. Really though, this is a very fun and addictive boxing game. First two games on the GBA feature boxing gloves as a main attack. Anyway, I'm definitely going to be sinking more time into this one. Even if you aren't a boxing fan, Hajime no Ippo The Fighting is a game to check out. Astro Boy Omega Factor was first released in Japan on December 18, 2003, next released in North America on August 17, 2004, then in PAL territories on February 18, 2005. Astro Boy was a manga written by Osamu Tezuka. The series ran from 1952 to 1968. It was insanely popular and has had multiple animes and movies over the years. Astro Boy Omega Factor was a joint development between Hitmaker and Treasure. The game features 47 characters from Osamu Tezuka's multiple manga works. Astro Boy is a robot built by Dr. Tenma. Tenma's son Tobio passed away in a tragic accident. The doctor creates a robot in his son's likeness with the robotic equivalent of a soul, the Omega Factor. Dr. Tenma leaves Astro Boy to his friend Dr. O'Shea, then heads off to make more robots. Okay, I'm really oversimplifying it here. In the original Astro Boy, Dr. Tenma sold Astro Boy to a circus because he wouldn't grow.
Can't you be a good son to me and grow up to be a normal human child like all the other children around here your same age?
Oh my god.
Astro Boy is considered to be the first anime, and it's much darker than you'd expect it to be. Astro Boy is basically a superhero, battling giant robots and saving the planet from evil. The game begins with Astro Boy waking for the first time. He's quickly called into action when Dr. O'Shea's lab assistant is kidnapped. Astro Boy Omega Factor is a beat-em-up platformer, as well as having some horizontal shoot-em-up stages. Astro Boy has a laser that fires from his finger, as well as some melee attacks and combos. He also has 3 super moves: a super laser, a flying melee, and a machine gun that comes out of, well, his butt. Just like Buster's Bad Dreams, enemies can be knocked into each other. They also scale just like that game too. There's something so satisfying about the combat in this game. Launching enemies into each other, then watching them bounce all over the place doesn't get old. Even on the normal difficulty, Astro Boy Omega Factor is challenging. Once you get the hang of a stage or a boss fight, it really makes you wonder what was so hard about it in the first place. The game also has quite a variety of stages. As you progress through the story and explore stages, Astro will meet characters. Each character he meets gives 1 upgrade point. Before you meet all the characters in the game, Astro Boy will be maxed out. It's still fun to look for them though. The story follows the 2003 anime, and what's here is very good. Good stories are what I feel is missing from most of the treasure games I've covered so far. Astro Boy's story is just another reason that this game is so great. Astro Boy Omega Factor is awesome. Right when you think it's over, there's more to go. The game is a gem on the GBA, and I 100% recommend it. Advanced Guardian Heroes was first released in North America on September 14, 2004, next released in Japan on September 22, 2004, then released in Australia on February 17, 2005, and in PAL territories on February 18, 2005. This is the first sequel from a company that didn't really want to make sequels. Well, before this they co-developed Gradius 5 with G-Rev, but that isn't a sequel to a Treasure game. Sega owns Guardian Heroes, so Treasure had to license it from Sega for the sequel. Sega had no interest in developing one. Advanced Guardian Heroes picks up well after the events of the first game. The ending that took the heroes to a battle in heaven is the canon ending. I think that was the plan from the multiple times I beat Guardian Heroes. This ending was the longest and had the most animation. The characters from the first game are defeated, then the villains bring them back and have complete control over them. I'm not sure how many years passed, but the original characters are known as the Ancient Heroes. The game stars Resistance Fighters, maybe a Resistance Fighter? You can select the characters, just they all look the same with a different palette swap. One is stronger at magic, another is more attack, and one is faster. Advance switches out Guardian Heroes 3 planes for a more traditional belt scroller stage setup. The 3 choices to select all have the same moves and combo. The standing combo is performed by not moving the D-pad and repeatedly pressing attack. Different directions and attack perform power attacks that can be mixed into the combo. Air dashes and air attacks can be performed as well. There's also a hyper mode that's fueled by the rage meter. Yeah, this got me out of some tough situations. It allows you to attack with lightning speed. Even power moves fly out quickly and do the same amount of damage. When you die, some dark demonic dude asks you if you want to sell your soul for an invincible body. This lasts for 6 minutes, then dude comes back to collect and it's game over. I can't see much use for this unless you're fighting the final boss. Well, it does give you some time to practice. Other than that, I didn't receive any choices for which direction I wanted to take the story. From what I played, this one is more linear. It's disappointing since the first game had so many paths with different stages, characters, and bosses. Also the multiple endings. Visually, the game looks great. Even the sprites for the characters from Guardian Heroes are on par with the Saturn. Advanced Guardian Heroes is a fun game. It held my attention for a couple hours. It's not an easy game, that's for sure, but it isn't bad. Astro Boy is no doubt the better beat 'em up. However, Treasure's first sequel is worth checking out. Now onto the final game, which is also a sequel. Gunstar Superheroes was first released in Japan on October 6, 2005. Next released in North America on October 25, 2005, then in PAL territories on November 4, 2005. Gunstar Superheroes is a sequel to Treasure's first game, Gunstar Heroes. I gotta say, this is one hell of a sequel. The game starts off showing the events of the first game. After the Gunstar heroes defeat Gold and Silver, the explosion creates 4 new moons. After some time passes, a 5th moon appears. The Empire returns and plans to resurrect Gold and Silver, or Destructor as this game puts it. Earth's Defense Force, I-3E? I don't know, it's spelled 3YE, creates a special unit codenamed Gunstar Superheroes. The 2 main characters are also named Red and Blue. This time around they aren't bound by a shooting type, meaning that Blue is actually worth picking. The 2 have very different story scenes and they change based on the difficulty. This isn't just a sequel, it's pretty much a remake. Stages and bosses are very similar to the Genesis game. That really isn't a problem because this game is awesome. So nostalgic seeing these familiar places with remixed music. Even little goobers are running around. It's still fun to blow up their little village. The 4 weapon types are all present, but they work differently. Each character has 3 weapons. Red has exclusive access to the machine gun, and Blue has the laser. Each can use homing and flame. Throws have been removed and replaced with melee attacks. I was able to use this to wreck Pink's giant mech. There's a new rising uppercut that was very useful against this yellow space marine boss. For the Emperor! All Out returns, it doesn't feel rehashed. There's also new sections. One on yellow ship while avoiding missiles really reminded me of Contra Hardcore. There's also a horizontal shoot 'em up section. The game plays so well and it's just so much fun. The goal of collecting the 4 treasure gems is still the same. Green also betrays the Gunstars and has his multiple forms. Honestly, I absolutely love this game. It's the perfect sequel to one of the greatest action games ever made. This is a must play for the GBA. For hardcore Sega fans, there's a flicky stage in there too. So do you have any memories of these treasure games? If you do, leave them down in the comments below. So, before I go, what's next for Treasure? Well, I got 2 more episodes left to go. The only problem is the last episode. I got some stuff to figure out, and also one of the games has been delisted. So, it sucks, but what are you gonna do? Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch my video. I really do appreciate it. Please like if you liked it. Please subscribe. Peace. this guy. He doesn't even know what's going on.